We enjoy SharePoint because it provides a single point of data entry and storage that everyone with a browser and a network connection can use with little learning curve and enhanced capabilities. A lot of the benefits of SharePoint come from the fact that it's browser-based. As long as you have a browser and a connection, and permissions of course, you can use SharePoint. But what happens when people want to manipulate the data more extensively than SharePoint allows? Sure, the forms SharePoint provides are great for entering and editing data, and we can even manipulate it as far as sorting and filtering using a lot of lists and even views. But the truth is, some people just need a little bit more than that, and that can become challenging in SharePoint because the browser just doesn't provide the functionality some may need. Now, take a deep breath because I would not leave you in a lurch, having gotten you all worked up and excited about SharePoint just to pull the rug out from under your feet, so to speak. We must always remember that SharePoint is a Microsoft product. That means it integrates and plays nicely with other Microsoft products. And when we're talking about data and analysis, one application specifically comes to mind, and that's Excel. In fact, with just a couple of clicks of the mouse, you can capture data in a SharePoint list and export it to Excel, where you can crunch it, pivot it, chart it, and whatever else you want to do to your heart's content. Want to see how easy it is? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at exporting a simple task list. We have a task list open, but remember this can be done with any one of the lists in SharePoint. Anytime we need to access certain options or features that we're not seeing on screen via hyperlinks, that tells us that we need to go to the ribbon. We always have two tabs available, at least two tabs, and the first question to ask yourself is, do we want to do something with specific items in the list or with the list itself? And the answer here is that we're talking about exporting the entire list. So from the List tab, you can move over maybe about 2/3 of the way over to the Connect and Export group. And here you'll see two options actually, just one that we're going to work with. They are to export to Excel, and also I wanted to point out that you can open lists with Access. Just as a quick note, if you choose to open SharePoint lists in Access, it's really almost a direct link because SharePoint is a database and you're opening it in a database. You have other tools available to you in Access that allow you to manipulate the data, run queries, and even do reports. And that's why that can be beneficial. We're actually going to export to Excel, which is a little bit different. In the old days, when you exported to Excel, it was just like a copy and paste. Once it was exported, they were two completely different pieces of information. That's changed a little bit, and we'll see how that works as we work through the process. All we need to do is click or tap Export to Excel. Because this is a web browser, at the bottom of the screen, usually, again depending on your browser, but somewhere on your screen you're going to see an option asking whether you want to open or save it. We're going to go ahead and click or tap to just open this. Because this is technically considered a website, it has to run a security scan, and you might even see some security prompts asking you if you want to allow the website to open something using your applications. After just a few seconds, or maybe a few minutes depending on how big your list is, you will be presented with a few options that you need to accept. We're going to go ahead and click or tap Enable. So, after waiting a few seconds, or maybe up to a couple of minutes, and possibly after having answered a few security questions, what you will get is a full copy of the SharePoint list in Excel. You will see all of the fields or all of the columns and all of the records in a familiar spreadsheet format. You're now free and able to work with these in any way that you normally would using Excel tools. This is Excel. It currently has nothing left to do with SharePoint. If it helps to get you started though, do know that it's always formatted as a table. So you do have the contextual tab for tables that's selected. But what I also wanted to draw your attention to is also on this tab is a group called External Table Data. If you need to refresh or work with the data in any way, or to unlink it, it can all be done from here. That's one of the advances that we've made, even between Excel and SharePoint in the last couple of versions. You now have the ability to export data, but not just as a cut and paste, by actually keeping a little bit of a link so that you can work between the two. What you now know is that data can be extrapolated from SharePoint, and it can be manipulated in other Microsoft applications. Those applications include both Access and Excel. We didn't talk about Access because Access is something that does require a little bit more training and knowledge in order to use successfully. On the other hand, most people are familiar with Excel. Exporting to Excel does create a data connection with the Excel worksheet that you can save and reuse. Opening with Access utilizes Access's database features to interface with SharePoint. That does provide a true round-trip capability of updating and manipulating data in either application. In other words, neither in SharePoint or Access. Access and Excel are similar yet different, and I think everybody can use the Excel export option, while not everybody may choose to use the Access integration. The process is simple as far as SharePoint is concerned. All we had to do for either one is to simply go to the ribbon and say that we wanted to either export to Excel or open with Access. Of course, you do not need to be fully adept at using either one of those applications to fully utilize this functionality. It's simple, and as long as you can click on the button, you're able to now get data out of SharePoint into a format that may be a little bit more useful and a little bit more comfortable for you to use, to save, and even to share.